Hey there, and welcome back to another video on musical appreciation. Now today we're going to be focusing on more of the music of ancient civilizations, such as the Mesopotamians, the ancient Egyptians, the Romans, Greeks, Byzantines, so on and so forth. To start us off, we need to figure out how these civilizations were able to make these different songs and was able to read musical composition. So, how were they able to do that? Well, first off, they would have to be able to know what musical notation is. And musical notation is auditorily perceiving music either by hearing instruments playing, or a person or persons, or having all of that together to being able to perceive musical notation. And they were able to write that on stone tablets on how the lyrics would be, on how some of the music would sound, and so on and so forth. Now we do know that back in prehistoric times, about 40,000 years ago, we have these bone flutes that these people would use back then. But if we put it in a more modern age, we would have to start with the Mesopotamian lyre. Now what is that? What does it look like? The Mesopotamian lyre in origin looks like a harp-looking instrument, but it was more square in shape. The front of it would have like the head of a bull figurine, and then obviously it would have the musical bar up top holding the strings from the knots that would support it, and you would play it as a harp-like instrument. Now, relative to that, this lyre was made, or the lyre was first made about 4,000 years ago, or was used 4,000 years ago. If we went about 1,000 years after that, during the ancient Egyptians, which was over 3,000 years ago, we will be introduced to their harp. Now, their harp in origin looks more of like a guitar-looking instrument, but it would be played as if it was a harp, due to its awkward stance, because you would have to either play it in the crevice of your arm or rest it on your shoulder and play it just like a harp. So you would have one hand on the inside and the one hand on the outside as if it was a harp. Well, in the ancient Egyptian style. But moving on from instruments that require you to use strings to play, we have an instrument that's more technologically advanced, such as the Roman water organ of 3rd century BC. Now, despite having organ in the name, it doesn't require you to use keys like you would on an actual organ or a piano-like instrument. That's not the case. The case for this one is that you would have one person on top fiddling with the flute-looking instruments up top, and then you would have a person down low fiddling with a fulcrum lever going up and down. That's able to support the first person on the upper half of the instrument being able to play these instruments. Now, they did have flutes and lyres of their own, but this is one of the more interesting instruments that I believe that would be more of a technologically advanced one, because Romans and Greeks were on the verge of doing so, as history has shown us. Now, Greece, on the other hand, would use wooden pipes that would be called aeuli, or in their tongue and dialect, which would be translated to pipes. Now, these pipes in itself was actually, in Greek mythology, originated to be the pipes of Poseidon that was made by Dionysus. And these were first used in the 5th and 4th century BCE. Now, with all these different flutes and all these different harps and organs and all these other instruments playing. There are some pieces of music that have been considered to be the oldest pieces of music that are actually complete. We have music pieces such as the Hurrian hymn number 6 of late Mesopotamia. Now this one in origin was supposed to be a hymn towards the orchard goddess Nikal. The tablets that were discovered dated back all the way to 1400 BCE, which is roughly 3,400 years ago. And it has been recreated by doctors and professors, but the more accurate version of it, or at least the best representation of it, was made by a Dr. Richard Dumbrell. His version is considered to be the more accurate version of it, and the more, I guess, in line with how the lyrics are being shown, because there's not really any other direction about the pitch, the tone, or what instrument is being played in the background. But we do have a good idea of what it may sound like from the lyrics, even though mostly you would need all the other elements to work, because that's how music is. You just need to know the pitch, you need to know the rhythm, the melody, and all these other important things, and length and duration as well, but we simply don't have enough information on that. However, another song that was played in ancient Roman times was the Epitaph of Sikolos. I may have butchered the pronunciation, I'm sorry. I may have even butchered the pronunciation of the last one. But this one is also considered one of the oldest completed songs to be ever made. Now this was written on a tombstone, as you would guess, in Rome. Now, it would be played by Greek lyres and harp-like instruments and stuff like that. And it would also be around the time that they would be playing the pipes, which would be around 4th century BC to 6th century BC as well, which is when this piece of music actually came out. So with that, that completes my video on ancient music in musical appreciation, and I hope you have enjoyed. Take care.